And welcome back to another BobBlast. Hi, I'm Bob Burridge, and this one is all about starting your painting and how I start my paintings and how I make it easier for me to start my paintings. And I'm only one way. There's your way and there's other people's ways, but I'm going to show you what works for me. Starting off with the mid-tone. There's a reason paper for drawing starts off with a mid-tone. All you have to do is put your dark and your lights. Your mid-tone's already done. So I practice that too, working with light sources, always with a mid-tone. There's your gray, there's your black, there's your white, and it gets you going, it gets you started. Now, what about color? Well, we'll get into color later on. Let me show you, first of all, the mid-tone and black and white. You know, some people think painting is a hard thing to do. Well, let me show you how to make it easier. So start easier. You start off with a mid-tone, all right? And I'm just gonna be doing black and white for now. How to start and make it easier for you to start. Don't think about all the colors and all the lights and darks and compositions. Let's start off with a mid-tone. There's a reason why Strathmore makes this beautiful paper. Other people do too, but it's toned gray. See, you're halfway done. Put in your whitest whites and your darkest darks. Your midtones are done, you can go home. So I actually practice that an awful lot for something as simple as a ball. So we'll do that right now. All right. Toned paper. I'm halfway done. I'm about to put my blacks in. There's some black acrylic paint. My Holbein paint. I like the Holbein paints mostly because they have so much pigment. Look how thick they are. They stand up. They don't just roll all over the place. So we're ready to go. Big brush. Since I'm halfway done, my mid-tone is done. This is so important to get your values down first. Don't think about anything else other than the values. So here we go. So, something as simple as a ball. All right? And you practice this sitting on a table. And I'm going to pretend the light is coming over from here. That's the light. I'm even putting in an arrow. Let me know. So my halftone is done. When you're thinking of three values, the darkest dark, the mid-tone, and the lightest light. So since we are shining a light on this ball, let's put some light on. There we go. Let some of the mid-tone peek through. That's one of the things I want to stress. You're not covering it up. You're letting some of the other colors come through. This will be more obvious when we get into color, but right now we're just talking about values. And the light's coming and shining on this ball in a dark room. It's also going to be shining back here on this wall back here. Believe it or not, we're thinking of a spotlight. See, now we have some nice contrast. Light shining on here. Now, there's the mid-tone, there's the brightest bright. Let's go into the darkest dark. We'll start on this side, just like that. It's starting to come together already. Short, choppy strokes, let some of that gray mid-tone come through. This part is really important when you go to do color also. You're letting some of the other colors come through, and that's what gives it that je ne sais quoi in painting, see? Now we want more contrast, so let's come back in here. Make the room much darker. Short, choppy strokes. No blending. Get in, get out. Get in, get out. Think of Seurat. Tiny little dots of color. Now it's sitting down on a shadow. Light's coming this direction, so the shadow is going away from the light source. You know that. You'd be surprised how many of us have dyslexia and we'll be putting the shadow going towards the light. No, away from the light. Well, that's pretty much it. I'm going to come back in with some more white. Really kick it up even more so. Whoa. Get in, get out. See how it's without blending it. Short, choppy strokes. Now that's a nice gray. I like it, but I want it to be a little bit lighter. So I'm going to mix up another gray, black and white. One of the nice things about working with just black and white, you practice an awful lot. Get in, get out. Work fast. You're not trying to make an illustration. You're giving your impression of a ball sitting on the table, right? And that's pretty much it. I don't want to over-engineering or engineer this whole demo. Dark against light, mid-tone at the beginning. Mid-tone actually holds the whole thing together because we have it peeking through all over. Let me do one now in color. So this one, we talk about mid-tone being a gray. Perfect way to start, especially when you're doing charcoal drawings, right? What about color? Let me show you some of the color backgrounds I'll start. It doesn't matter what color it is as long as it communicates the whole mood and the whole attitude of your painting. So sometimes I'll start off with a red background or an orange background or a yellow background because I'm going to let some of these colors peek through, and that makes it kind of an upbeat, happy type of a painting. Whereas sometimes if I want to do a kind of a down, kind of a quiet, dark, moody, I might do a dark blue or a dark green as my base color. Because remember, some of this color is actually going to peek through some of the other colors that I get started on. Of course, then there's always a neutral here. Neutrals are always fun to do, kind of a mid-pinkish, kind of a greenish kind of a color. More of a neutral tone. And with the neutral tone, you can do almost any color you want. But remember, start off with an overall tone over the entire painting. Let me get started. Let's get into color. Here we go. 300-pound watercolor paper. All right, here's my marigold, kind of an orange color. Here's some Holbein luminous opera. Oh, I love that color. Kind of a fluorescent color. Now I'm toning the paper. This time, instead of gray, I'm toning it with an orange mixture. I'm going to mix my own paper towels. I just take paper towels, fold them up. This is the fast way of getting it done. Put it all over the place. I could use a brush too. This is faster. There we go. I'm doing my mixing right on here. There's my mid-tone. And I start off very loose. Always start off loose. If you start off tight, you won't loosen up later. Some of you say, oh, I'll loosen up later. No, you won't. There you go. Great loose beginning. Again, the reason I like to work on top of a surface that has a color underneath it, because I can come back in and start scraping and scratching with a stick or my fingernails. And so I'm going to be relying on the color underneath my mid-tone. So this is my mid-tone. We'll let it dry. Okay, we'll let it dry, and let me show you what we do next. So the mid-tone now is dry. Let me get started. So instead of a ball as a demo, we'll do a, why not? You know I'm going to do a pear. A pear is nothing more than a circle and a triangle on the top. See how easy that was? I'm going to have it sitting on a table. I'm going to have the same light coming across this direction. All right, let's do the same thing, but now on top of an orange mid-tone surface. Short, choppy strokes. It's a great way to get started. You don't start off tight. Start off loose. Have fun at the very beginning. All right? You should have fun the whole entire time. There you go. Now let's get the dark side of this. I'm going to mix up my own dark side. Right now we have some yellow and some of the pink. Short, choppy strokes. Use lots of water. It should flow off the brush easily. You shouldn't have to work it. Now I'm starting to think painting. I'm not thinking trying to make this perfect little painting of a pear. I'm thinking painting. No, there was no detail. Wide brush, this is an 1.5 inch brush. Let's have a little more fun and put in some blue. Oh no. Blue, why blue? Well, that way we can see the other colors underneath it. So let's just do this quickly. This is just a really loose demo. Get you started. More blue. We'll make this pear kind of gnarly. Almost has a human figure to it. Well, that's one of the reasons I actually like to do fruits and vegetables. It's almost like doing the figure. There's your negative shape painting there. Now, as we get further away from the light source, it's not going to be so dark because the light is shining on the pear and shining on back in here. So that's what I'm going to do right now. Lots of white. Again, this is just the first layer. Well, I'll come back in much later after this layer has dried. I'll get more water and continue painting. This is just the very beginning. Remember, this is how to make your starts easier. Just pretty easy. See, no detail. I want to get all over the place. More of this fun color. That hot pink is just outrageously fantastic. How about a shadow? Sure, a shadow. Got to have a shadow. Shadows are usually the complementary color of the light source. That means yellow sun, we're going to have somewhat of a bluish, purplish shadow going away. See, aren't you glad we did it black and white first? Now it's starting to come together, isn't it? Now let's make it even more dramatic. Darker colors. Put colors everywhere. Darker colors everywhere. Dark side. The dark side of the moon gives it more dimensionality. Now here comes another neat part. It's still wet. I can scrape on the other side of the brush. I do believe a brush has two front sides. So now I'm going to draw more. Whoa. Look at this. Give it some more texture. Scraping and scratching, letting that other color come through. Watch what happens when you come over here in the dark. Whoa. See how exciting it can be. Don't worry about your drawing skills. You make it exciting for yourself. You should have drawing and paint everywhere. Some of it even on the canvas. There we go. There we go. So that's a quick example of, let's make it even more dramatic. There we go. So you paint right on top of it, wet on top of wet. That's how I work. But it's important that you don't overpaint it and get it and turn it into mud. You turn it into mud by over touching your paint. That's why I say get in, get out. Don't stay there too long. Get in, get out. And now we'll kick it up even more so. It's almost like I have an electric brush. I just can't stop. And you know what that's like, everyone. Once you get in there and paint like you mean it. Not like I'm pretending to paint. There we go. See how the whole thing is coming together because I started off with just midtones, light, dark, and now I'm getting into the painting and moving some colors around. Anyway, there you go. Just wanted to let you see one way to get started and the easy way to get started. I know we're usually overwhelmed when we go to do a painting. So don't be overwhelmed. Just take it step by step and enjoy every step and stay loose. Bigger brushes, big buckets of water, not little teacups of water, and go after it. And always a much bigger brush. Whatever brush you have in your hand, put it down and get the next one bigger. Thanks for watching. I enjoyed this kind of painting technique, and I hope you have learned something with this. And if you have, and practice it and pass it on to your friends. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next BobBlast.